Hello, I'm Steve Olson. I'm the Manager of Training Services for Mesa. In this video, I'd like to share a tutorial on how to model up a component using Fusion 360's sheet metal modeling tools. Before I dive into Fusion and start modeling, I'd like to just show you what part we're going to create here in Fusion. So it's just basically a simple little bracket. It's basically 65 by 65 with some flanges and a couple holes and a slot in the top. So I just want to kind of give you an idea of where I'm headed so you can see how all these features fit together to generate this part. Before I dive into modeling, I want to share a couple concepts that I've learned fairly quickly when I was trying to use the sheet metal functions in Fusion 360. First off, it's its own workspace. So we'll change over the sheet metal workspace. Secondly, I'm very familiar to Inventor's sheet metal modeling workflow, where we have faces, flanges, and contour flange features that we use to create our part. Here in Fusion, everything's going to be a flange. Again, if you're familiar with face, flange, and contour flange, this one command will be able to create all those types of features. And you'll see how we can use this command to create those types of features as we build the part that we're going to make. And then lastly here, under Modify, you'll see that we have sheet metal rules. Inventor has the same type of concept where we create a rule that says what material and what material thickness we're going to use as we create our part here. So under the library, you can see I have a sheet metal millimeter defaults. You can see it's got a thickness of 2 millimeters, which happens to be the way or the type of file that we have here. If I need to make any kind of edits, I can hit the little pencil here and say Edit Rule. It'll open up a dialog box, and if yours is set to something else, feel free to set it to 2 millimeters because that's what we're going to use. I think out of the box, I think mine was set to 2.5, so you might have to change yours. I'm just going to cancel this. I'm going to close this. One more setting I need to change before I start modeling, and that is underneath my document settings. I want to make sure I'm set to millimeters as well, because I usually have mine set to inches, and the file I'm going to be working with here is in millimeters, and I don't want to have to convert the units as I work on it. So I'm going to go ahead and say OK here, and now we're ready to begin modeling. Just like standard modeling, I'm going to begin modeling with a sketch. So I'm going to go up here to Create Sketch. I'm going to pick what happens to be my XZ plane as the plane I want to sketch on. I'm going to go up here to Sketch, and I want to create a center rectangle. And I'm going to start on my origin, come out. You can see it's waiting for values. From looking at my drawing, the main little top section that I'm going to try to create here is 30 by 60. So I'm going to go ahead and use 30 and 60. So there's my profile. I'm going to stop my sketch. I'm going to go up here to Create and Flange. I'm going to click on my profile. You'll see that it adds that profile to this dialog box. It's asking, okay, how do I want to add the material thickness to side 1? I actually wanted to add it downward, so I'll go to side 2. You can see it's using my sheet metal default rule, which is 2 millimeters thick. It's going to create a new body. Everything looks good there, so I'm going to go ahead and say OK. So now I'm going to add the 2 flanges that kind of come down the sides. So here I'm going to go to Create. I'm going to Flange. Notice I don't have any sketch whatsoever. I'm just going to hit the lower edge here because I want the flange to come down. And I'll flip over the other side. Click over here. You might be thinking, why is it not showing anything? Well, right now the height is set to 0. I can click and drag. You can see it's going to add some sort of height or material there. I know how far I want to go, so I can just even key that in here. I don't have to drag. I'll go into this dialog box and say, I want to go 65. And you might be thinking, well, how does it know how to measure what 65 is? Is that the inside height, the outside height? You can see here I can say outer faces, inner faces. If I go to inner faces, you should see it adds a little bit of length to that. I do want the outer faces in this case because that's the 65 is the outer dimension that I have. And everything looks pretty good there. Now, one thing is also, real quickly, the bend position. So you can see I have inside, I have outside, I have adjacent. So realistically here, I want inside, meaning where this 30 would have been, the 30 width that we had was where this edge would come out and intersect with this one. We'll say okay. And just to prove that concept real quick, if we did a quick inspection, I should say this face to this face is 30, like we asked it to be. And then this face to this face. I have to restart this. Let me restart my selection. Down to this face is 65, like we asked it to be. Real quickly, before I start the next feature, I just want to point out what I'm going to be working on. I'm going to work on these two flanges here. And this is a little bit of a different type of feature, maybe a little bit more complex, because you'll see here that it's 5 millimeters from this end of this flange to where this bracket is, or to that face. The overall width is 65. I only did 60 across the top because of this value here. When we create this flange, by default, it's going to try to run the whole width here. I'm going to have to make sure I keep this 10 millimeter by keeping a specific offset, and you'll see that when I create the feature. I'm going to create this feature by sketching a very specific profile here. So I'm going to kind of orbit around to the bottom and create a sketch basically down here at this bottom feature. Now I need to know where to connect into, so I'm going to use my project include project to project this edge into my sketch, which will give me basically just a point. So now I'm going to sketch a single line that comes up and then over. So we know that we need to have the outside dimension here be 5. So when I go to do my dimension here, from this point to this point, it's going to be 5 millimeters. And in our drawing, we have from this face to the end of the flange being 18 millimeters. So that looks pretty good. I only need to sketch this once. The software is going to be able to identify how to attach it to this edge and to this edge over here. So that's really all I need. I don't need a closed profile. This open profile is going to work just fine for this flange that I'm going to make here in just a second. So I'm going to stop my sketch. So now I'm going to go up to the flange command. I'll basically pick this profile, and I'll have to tell it which edges to attach to. So I'll pick this edge here. I'll hit the plus, tell it to add to this edge here. Now everything's working out well, except for the fact that the flange is too long. I need to make sure that it stops 10 millimeters from this face. So right now it's on full edge over here. If I change this full edge down to offset, that lets me define how far from each end of that edge that flange goes. Now in our case, that's not quite exactly how we want this to be. What I need to do is I need to change this second reference to this face and then specify a 10 millimeter offset. So I'm going to clear the selection for reference number 2. I'll select this face. You can see now it's brought it all the way out to being in line with that. And I'll change the value to -10. You'll see it'll push it back that distance. So I'll do the same thing with the second edge. I'll say to offset, clear the second reference, select this face, use -10, and now we have what we need. Now that I've got the basic shape of my bracket, I just need to go back and add the features like the holes. There's a couple of chamfers here, and then there's a slot at the top. So let's go ahead and add those. So underneath modify here is the chamfer command. And basically I'll hit this edge here and this edge here. We need equal distances, and from the drawing I can tell it's 45 millimeters. And it's a pretty simple feature right there. Now we have a hole that runs through this component, so we'll go ahead and tell it to create a hole. It resides on this face. The first reference is 40 millimeters from this edge. Second reference is 40 millimeters from this edge. And the hole is supposed to be 20 millimeters in diameter. And I want the distance, instead of specifying the distance being a certain value, I'm just going to say through all. That way, if we ever change the geometry of how wide this is, we won't have an issue with this hole maybe not cutting the whole way through everything anymore. Say OK. And there we go. I haven't saved this yet, so I'm going to go ahead and save it. I'll just call it sheet metal example. I think I've already saved one, so I'm going to call it sheet metal example 2. Now I want to create the holes in these brackets here. So I'm going to go ahead and create a sketch on this face. And actually I can create them on this side and just mirror them over. So it's probably the easier thing to do. I'm going to just lay out a couple of points that will mark the centers of where those holes should go. And the dimensions that they give us in this case is from this edge, or that face, into the hole should be 10 millimeters. And I'm going to use a vertical alignment to align these two holes. So I use the horizontal vertical, pick those 2 points, and it vertically aligns them. Then dimensionally from the bottom, I have 12.5. And then center to center should be 30. So I'm going to finish this sketch, and I can create 6 millimeter holes based off those center points. So I'm going to go to hole, pick these 2 centers. The 20 there is way too big. I want them to be 6 millimeters in diameter. I'll set my distance to all. There we go. And now I'll just mirror those to their side. So underneath create is mirror. I'll just basically tell it I want to use features. I find that easier. I'll pick the last feature in my timeline, which is the holes. My mirror plane, I'll use one of my origin planes. That's one of the benefits of keeping your component centered around the origin. That looks pretty good. Say OK. And there are those holes. One last feature to create, and that's the slot on the top here. So we'll create a sketch. This is going to be no different than anything else we've done, is just create a sketch and then create an extrusion. So we need a slot. Based off the dimensions we have, probably the center to center slot would be best. So I'm going to just sketch it, not even quite even centered, just kind of off-centered here. Shouldn't be a big deal. To get it centered, I can use a coincident constraint that takes this center line and makes it coincident with the origin of my sketch, which happens to be over the center of the part. Now, dimensionally, I have a dimension that from the end to this center point should be 20. Center to center is 25. And then there is a 4 millimeter radius on the slot. So now I'm fully constrained, fully sketched. Now just come back here, I'll just do the normal extrude. Grab that profile, tell it I'm going to cut. I need to flip it over and go the other direction. So I'll say direction 2. Just grab the arrowhead, pull down. Tell it distance all. And cut. We're in good shape. So there's the component. Let's go ahead and save it one last time here. One of the benefits of using the sheet metal functionality is that we can then generate the flat pattern. That flat pattern is very important to generate the CNC programming, whether that's being a laser cut or a turret press, to create this shape out of the raw material. So underneath modify, I can say create flat pattern. I'll tell it what face I want to remain stationary. I'll pick this one right here. I'll say OK, and it will then flatten the rest of the component around it. You can see here at the top, I can then export the flat pattern as a DXF, which is very common depending upon what tooling program you're sending it to. There are ways to modify it, but those modifications won't show up in your folded component. Those changes don't flow back upstream to the folded component. But you can see here, I can create some additional features if I need to clean up my flat pattern because of the way some of the corner reliefs worked or whatever. You can adjust and modify those here. To go back to the folded model, I just hit Exit Flat. Takes me back to the folded model. And then it does show up here in my browser, and I can activate that whenever I need to. I wanted to share one last thought on this component, and that is Fusion 360 does have its own CAM environment. So how would you work with the flat pattern of this component in the CAM environment? So I want to show you that real quick. So note that I do have a flat pattern of this file. We just created it. So I want to make sure that you're aware of that, because this is going to be critical when we get in the CAM environment. So I go to the CAM environment, and you can see here underneath my CAM component 1, you can see I have the formed model and the flat model. So that's kind of how you make sure that you're using the flat pattern. Is you come into the CAM environment and you make sure that's what's selected or active when you're working with the CAM. I want to thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to email one of the email addresses on the screen. And again, thank you for watching.